There it is. Thank you. Okay, I'm now calling the Tuesday, March 17th. We know what day that is, St. Patrick's Day, 2026, regular meeting of the Los Altos Hills County Fire District Board of Commissioners to order. The time is 7:03 p.m. Please note we're conducting a hybrid meeting, which allows staff and members of the public to attend via virtual teleconference. This hybrid meeting will be video recorded and posted on the district's website. And because we are video conferencing, we will follow a strict protocol for the benefit of the recording. I will indicate when commissioners, staff, presenters, and the public will provide comments. If you've called into the meeting and are not using a webcam, please state your name prior to providing your comment. And if you're making public comment and have questions of the presenter or the commission, please address your questions to me, the board president, and I will try and direct it and respond or seek a response or hold the question for a future response. Please practice considerate video conferencing etiquette by muting your line when you're not speaking and limiting distracted behavior on camera. And we'll try to do the same thing here in the room. District Clerk Vargas, please conduct the roll call.
Okay, commissioners, I will be conducting all roll calls this evening in the same order. First, I just want to make sure, can everybody online hear us okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, great. So we have got President Spreen.
Yes.
Okay.
Here.
And Commissioner Basigi.
Here.
Vice President McDonald, thank you. Is not here. Okay, Commissioner Tonka is not here. Commissioner Tyson is not here. And I have an old script here. So Commissioner Kadambi.
Here.
Commissioner Warren.
Here.
Okay, and we have 4 commissioners present. And for the benefit of the recording, I will also conduct a presenters, consultants, and staff roll call. Santa Clara County Fire Chief Kirkhow, which I don't think she's here, but I did see Assistant Chief Glass. Will you be filling in for her?
Chief Glass should be filling in for her. Yes.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And Santa Clara County Assistant Fire Marshal Davis is in the audience. Santa Clara County Weed Abatement Manager Io Selesky is in the back. Fireside CEO Jason Brooks will be joining us later. Oh, he is online. Okay. Let's see. We've got Santa Clara County Program Director Brenner Cannon.
Present.
Thank you. Santa Clara County Fire Safe Council CEO Shallett. Thank you. Santa Clara County Fire Safe Council Project Manager Gonzalez.
Present.
Okay. Municipal Resource Group Strategic Planning Consultant Scott.
Present.
Okay. Fryer and Loretta Engineering Consultant Tarantino.
Here.
Thank you. Community Education Risk Reduction Manager Gluhan.
Present.
Okay. Programs Planning and Grants Manager Woods.
Present.
Okay. Technical Analyst / Project Manager Cronin.
Present.
Okay. Project Operations Manager Russell is in the back room. General Analyst Georgie. Okay. Field Manager Harmon.
Here.
Technical Data Analyst Martinez.
Present.
Okay. Project Manager Administration Revlar.
Here.
Okay. Project Manager Risk Reduction King Rob.
Present.
Okay. Community Risk Reduction Specialist Stockstick.
Present.
Thank you. Finance Program Specialist Corpus.
Here.
Thank you. IHFR Specialist Nazarova. Okay. Operations and Administrative Manager Fairman.
Present.
Okay. Finance and IT Manager Moriali.
Present.
Okay. General Manager Logan.
Present.
And Deputy County Counsel Forbath.
Present.
Great. All right. Presenters, consultants, and staff are accounted for.
As they have to shift over some of the Zoom technicality here for just a second.
Okay. I think we're good now. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks very much, everyone. Okay, we have a lot of business tonight. I think it's a very positive night tonight, but we will try and move through it quickly. But it's a really packed full. I will also say this is, I think, the smallest group of commissioners of a meeting I've ever been a part of. But I think that this group of 4 will mightily shoulder all the work that 7 could do. Exactly. The only thing I'll mention is that I know that Commissioner McDonald's not feeling well, and I hope he's watching this either now or on camera. I'm recording and let him know we're wishing him well and thinking of him. So I just wanted to say that. And it's a full night. Let's move it on. Let's see. First, I would like to announce that as a courtesy, any members of the public having objections to the proposed abatement of hazardous weed, brush, and/or rubbish on properties as listed in the attachment to Resolution 2604 under Agenda Item 6C, this is part of the weed abatement things, we're giving you the opportunity to discuss this situation with Santa Clara County Weed Abatement Manager Garrick Ioselewski. And before providing public testimony when we get to Agenda Item 6B, are there any members of the public present who would like to speak with Mr. Ioselewski before providing comment during that public hearing?
Someone back there, correct?
Yeah, we have someone currently back there, and I don't see anybody else online.
Okay, great. So I'm glad everyone is receiving the service and communication, and thank you very much for that. Okay, moving on to Item 3, public comment. Persons wishing to address the commission on any subject not on the agenda may do so now. Please note, however, the commission is not able to undertake extended discussion or action tonight on items not on the agenda. Items may be referred to staff for appropriate action, which may include placement on the next available agenda. District policy is to limit public testimony to 3 minutes per speaker, unless the number of speakers requires me to impose shorter time limits. I don't think that's the case. Do we have any public comments on items not on the agenda?
I see none in person or online.
Okay, great. Thank you. In that case, we'll move on to Item 4, agenda amendments and changes. Are any comments from staff on this? Or any commissioners like to make any changes to the order of the agenda? Seeing none. Okay. In that case,
I believe we did have a comment from staff, Jay.
Oh.
Did you? Yeah.
Oh, need a mic.
Good evening, President Spring, commissioners, staff, and public. I'd like to just make a couple of comments quickly about the consent items. And I would like to expand on a presentation under the events part of the general manager's report that occurred today. And that was a presentation by myself and Fire Chief Kirkow at the Los Altos Hills Club titled Los Altos Hills County Fire District and Santa Clara County Fire Department, a partnership to protect the community. And then copies of those presentations are there at the dais for you to look at, and they're also posted online. And I'd like to thank the commissioners who attended and the staff who attended. We had 9 staff at the event, about 75 people at the event. And to Fire Captain Ryan Cronin, thank you very much, sir, for delivering the safety moment at the event. And that made a world of difference to all of us. Thank you for that. Also, I'd like to mention that there's slides and a memo report on the status of the 2027 Fire and Emergency Medical Services provided by Santa Clara County Central Fire Protection District to the Los Altos Hills County Fire District and to the City of Los Altos. The memo has links to the recent media releases by the City of Los Altos announcing that the City Council, City of Los Altos, requested annexation into Central Fire and is submitting their application to LAFCO for the annexation. So that memorandum is in the general manager report. Please be sure to take a look at that. Very important activity going on. As a result of these various actions, annexation for the City of Los Altos and the 10-year successor agreement for Los Altos Hills County Fire District, these results best meet the needs of the separate agencies. With both of these results, County Fire will provide a contiguous, solid, internationally accredited all-hazard fire and emergency medical services to the north section of the county, and that includes LAHCFD and the City of Los Altos with the same level of service as experienced over the last 30 decades. And lastly, in the GM report is an overview in the photo journal of the March 6th organizational planning session, number 6. And the session theme was illumination, and the activities illuminate many projects and metrics. So I hope you will look at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the comments on the consent items. See, any comments from the commission on the consent items?
Warren,
Please.
as to one question. On item 5C, which is the list of properties to be inspected, I'm just curious, Fire Chief Glass, probably the best person to answer it, is as to why Pinewood is not listed on the properties to be inspected. We've got Gardner Bolus, St. Simon's School, but the Pinewood School wasn't to be inspected. Is there a rotation that goes on each year? Just curious as to which properties are included in the annual inspection.
Good evening. Yeah, I don't have the information available to me right now. We can definitely get that information and circle back to the general manager. I will open it up though to Assistant Fire Marshal Jeremy Davis, who I believe is in the audience, who may be more capable of speaking to that specific item.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, mhm.
What was
The question was, is that the annual inspection, a couple of the schools are on the list here in the district. One of the schools isn't, and I was just curious how they're not all inspected every year. What's the process by which properties are decided to be inspected each year? Are they on a rotation, a several year rotation? What's the methodology?
Yes, the schools are a state mandated inspection that we do every year. So I will have to research that and find out why that was not on our list. So I can research that
Yeah.
and then report back.
Pinewood, which is just right down the street.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep. I'll take a
You
look
would.
at that.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Any other comments or questions on the consent calendar? Okay. Any public comments on consent calendar items? In that case, I'm looking for a
Yeah.
motion.
Oh, no, we have one
Oh, there
public
is.
comment. Yeah.
Alan Epstein, I live in the district. Following on the question that was asked, I don't know if the Waldorf School still operates. Was that on the list?
No, it wasn't, but you're right. It is in the district also there on Morrow Road.
Right. So I'd like to comment on a couple of the items on the consent calendar. Item 5E has to do with audit services. And as I mentioned at the last meeting, I felt the budget for the item was very high, and I see that there's $8,000 proposed for an optional credit card transaction testing. Now, this size organization should probably only have 2 or 3 credit cards, and I can't understand why it would cost $8,000 to audit, or why it would even be necessary to do that. With regards to item number F, having to do with C2R Engineering, this is the 5th year in a row that this contract has been renewed without going out for competitive bids. I think periodically you should go out for competitive bids for these types of items. 2 of the items on the list seem to be extraordinarily expensive. $5,000 to install a single bollard and $7,500 to install a retaining wall. Those 2 numbers seem excessively high to me. I mentioned at the last meeting with regards to the contract item number G for Schaffner that it seemed excessive to pay $50,000 to train 5 employees. Well, I guess I should never have mentioned that, because now you're going to spend $75,000 to train 5 employees. So I shouldn't complain. And I think that's it for the consent calendar. Thank you very much.
Thank you. A couple comments. I'll respond to that. First of all, in terms of the credit card, the auditing bonus for for the credit card thing, we have a brand new credit card system that allows all of or most of our staff to have access to purchasing. I remind everyone that we are a virtual organization. We do not have an office. We don't have a central office. People are located in many different areas, and to not get an obstacle of getting people to be able to pay for things they need to, we have a lot of policies and new policies around a very sophisticated credit card system. We want the auditors to be able to look at that and make sure we're doing it right, given that this is brand new and installed. And Finance Manager Moriali has been very transparent about the implementation of that throughout the year. So I think it's a very wise choice to add that to our auditing for this year. I also mentioned in terms of employee training, I think we have an incredible staff, and I will continue to tout the fact that anything we do to make this a place that, again, a virtual place that does not have a central office, what we can do to train our staff and provide new abilities to increase their skills in many different areas, I think is one of the things that can bring great people to us. So I'm all in favor of anything we can do for training. So I won't take any complaints about us spending too much on training our employees. Okay, may I have a motion and a second, please?
CG seconds.
Thank you.
Warren firsts.
Okay. All right. Since we've had public comments already, let's take a roll call.
Okay, President Spreen,
Yes.
Commissioner Basigi,
Yes.
Commissioner Kidambi,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren.
Yes.
Okay, and the motion passes 4-0 with 3 absent.
Okay, item 6, weed abatement. We will start with item 6A, to receive a presentation from County of Santa Clara Weed Abatement Manager Ioselewski before moving on to item 6B to open the public hearing and receive public testimony. Project Operations Manager Russell will please introduce this.
Good evening, commissioners, staff, and public. It is my honor this evening to introduce Garrick Ioselewski. I always have a hard time. He is from the weed abatement, from county weed abatement. And I wanted to talk tonight before Garrick comes up here to remind us a little bit about the process. It can get a little confusing. And one of the things is, each year when Garrick sends out he sends out a packet with information on weed abatement, how to comply to residents. And starting 3 years ago, the district also started to send a letter out in addition to let residents know, while we are not weed abatement, we are here to help you with your compliance and be here if you have any questions or need any support. So this year was no different. We sent out that letter. We received, we were communicated with by 5 residents. So there were 3 residents that had a change of address, 1 resident that said, I want to be part of the program. I'm willingly here. And 1 resident said, I did not know I was in this program. Can you please explain? And so I really wanted to just illustrate this example to show you how great this collaboration is and how wonderful it is to have Garrick as the manager. Garrick supplied her immediately, responded very quickly with photos explaining how long she's been on the list, that she's been compliant for the last 2 years. And this year, if she's compliant, she will be off the list. And her response was, thank you so much. I had no idea. I really appreciate, the photos and the very detailed response. So I want to just remind us of this collaboration and this part of the process. So any questions before Garrick comes up? Right.
No.
Thank you. With that.
Good evening, commissioners. Garrick Ioselewski, Santa Clara County Weed Abatement Program Manager from the Consumer and Environmental Protection Agency. I'm here to give you a short presentation about our program, our process, and a few just different things that we're doing this year. Next slide, please. So just as an overview of what I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to talk about our weed abatement program process, some new collaborative efforts with stakeholders that we've started this last year, and also our new fee schedule for this year. Next slide. So as for the weed abatement program process, there are a few actions that are required by the commission here. First is to adopt a resolution declaring weeds a public nuisance. That was done on February 17th. The second is to hold a public hearing, which is tonight, to approve the list of properties for us to go out and do inspections on this year. And then also the third thing is to hold another public hearing later in the summer, and that's to approve the assessments that will go onto people's property tax bills for the inspections and any abatement work that we do this year. And actions required by the weed abatement program. Firstly, we send notices annually to all of the property owners on that list. That was already taken care of earlier this year. We inspect all of the properties on that list at least once per year. We perform abatement work on properties that remain non-compliant after our inspections, and we also recover costs for our inspections and abatement through our fees. Next slide. So there are 3 scenarios that we can come across when we go out and do an inspection on a property. The first scenario is my favorite, is when a property passes their inspection. The second scenario is when a property without a structure fails their inspection. And then the third is when a property with a structure fails their inspection. And I'll get into the details of why those 2 are different. Next slide. So the first scenario, property passes their inspection. What happens is an inspector will go out to the property. They'll see that the property is in compliance with the minimum fire safety standards, and the property is charged a single inspection fee for that year. When a property passes their inspection for 3 years in a row, they are automatically removed from the list. Next slide. The second scenario, when a property with no structure on it fails their inspection. So we go out there, we see that it's out of compliance with our standards. We send them a courtesy notice. We give them 15 days to correct the issues that we noted on their property. And after that 15 days, if we do not hear back from the property owner, and that's the important part, is the property owner has an opportunity to contact us, send us photos that they've corrected the issue before we take any further action. If we don't hear from them, we'll send an inspector back out after 15 days to verify the status of the property. If it is still out of compliance at that time, then we will order work. We will send a work order to our contractor to go out to the property and do the abatement work necessary. And then the contractor then bills us for the work that they did on the property, and then we apply the fees to that property owner. So in that scenario, a property owner would be charged for 2 inspection fees for us going out there twice. They would be charged the non-compliant parcel fee, which is the fee that we charge when we generate a work order and send it to our contractor. And then they would also be charged for the work that the contractor does, as well as an administrative fee for us processing all the paperwork and making sure the work was all done correctly. Next slide. Then the third scenario is a property with a structure fails the inspection. It's pretty much the same process as what I just described, except for now at this point, since there's a structure on the property, we cannot legally go onto their property to do the abatement work unless we have their consent. So we send out a consent notice and we request their consent to go out to the property and abate their property for them. If we receive consent from them, then we'll go out, we'll send the contractor, they'll do their work, and it's the same thing that I just described previously. Next slide. And then the other scenario is if we do not get consent from that property owner. So then what happens is we then have to go to the court and we get a warrant to go out to their property and to be able to legally enter their property and do the work that we need to do. And then in addition to all the other fees that I mentioned previously, they would also be charged a warrant fee. And that's a fee for our attorneys to process the paperwork to the court and, do all the stuff. Attorneys are super expensive, so it adds up. Okay, next slide. So one process that I did implement last year, which was new to the program, was I implemented a process of warning letters. So this is for properties that we see that are out of compliance that are not on our list. So if they're not on the list you see tonight and we go out and we see them out of compliance this year, our process now is we will send them a warning letter. We'll say, hey, you're out of compliance. You got 2 weeks to take care of it. And then we'll come back, we'll follow up. And if it's in compliance at that point, they don't get added to the list. But if it is still out of compliance, then we will add them to the list for the following year. Previously, the previous manager didn't do the warning letters. He just sent letters right away saying you're being added to the list. So, that was just, I felt it was a little bit, too harsh and people weren't really too happy about it. One thing that I am going to mention though, is that if a property is in one of the high or very high fire severity zones, we will use our judgment whether or not to send them a warning letter or not. If the property is severely overgrown and really lacking maintenance, and we can tell that it's not being maintained at all, and they're in the high or very high fire severity zones, we may not send the warning letter. We may just add them right away. Okay, next slide. So some collaborative efforts that we've undertaken with stakeholders this last year. I've started a process where we're doing quarterly weed abatement task group meetings. So I invite all of the different jurisdictions, all of our partners to join in on a quarterly meeting. We discuss the status of the program, the work that we're doing, what's coming up ahead. And it's really been, I think, a great way for us to all connect and collaborate and share ideas. Another thing is I've increased collaboration with the property owners, doing the warning letter process, as I mentioned, and also offering them the opportunity to contact us and send us photos of corrective actions that they've taken on their property. We also have a new software that we're implementing this year for our inspections, which will actually allow property owners to upload their correction photos directly to our system so that we receive it a lot more efficiently that way too. And then lastly, outreach and education. We've taken more steps recently to get out into the community more, educate residents and property owners about our work, about what's required of them. We've updated our brochure. We've updated our website. We even have a new video on there. You can see me and one of my inspectors. We're kind of the stars of the video there and explaining the program and just kind of putting a friendly face to the program to kind of make it a little bit more personable. Next slide. And here's our new fee schedule for this year. Our fees did increase significantly from previous years, as you'll notice. We do have a lot less parcels on our list this year than we have traditionally in the past. There were over 500 parcels that dropped off of our list last year due to meeting 3 years of compliance, completing building and landscape renovations on the property that prevent weeds from regrowing. And also during public hearings, a number of them were also removed. So unfortunately, because our program costs don't go down when our parcel count goes down, and we have to sort of make sure we can pay for the program because we are fully cost recovery based, we had to increase our fees to make sure that we're able to sufficiently cover our costs this year. Additionally, we did have a budget shortfall last year, which put us into a situation where we had to make sure we raised the fees enough this year that we could effectively recoup our costs this year. And so with that, I'll open it if there are any questions from the commission.
Any comments from commissioners? Still, please.
So the non-compliant fee of $953.
Is Michael?
Oh, sorry. The non-compliant fee of $953, is that a refundable thing, or is that for that year? And if they have not done it, then it goes off, or if they, correct this, will they get back that $953 non-compliant fee?
No, that's non-refundable. We charge that fee after we've gone out and done 2 inspections and have seen that their property is still out of compliance. At that point, we're generating a work order for the contractor where, there's administrative time that goes into that. And so it is cost recovery basis. And so we need to keep that.
Thank you.
Jim?
First of all, I'd like to really admire what you're doing. I think it's amazingly important.
Is that mic on? Oops, there you go.
Sorry. Again, I'll shout out to the work you're doing in favor of the town safety. I think it's supremely important to keep this town safe, and this is that's very critical. Everything you're doing is very critical. That being said, I have a couple of questions. Number one, the first notice that you give people time to comply is 15 days. Do you think that's short, or is it reasonable, 15 days?
I believe that in some cases it is reasonable, and there are situations where more time is warranted. We do grant extensions if property owners contact us and request more time. We do work with property owners in those situations.
Okay, so they have the possibility of extending it perhaps a week or 2 or 3 or whatever.
Correct.
That's something that's reasonable. The cost you mentioned, my colleague here asked that question. These costs for some of the elder population of town living in the some of these lots that you're describing are occupied by people that are retired, they're house rich, cash poor. These dollars that your costs that you're describing are extremely prohibitive. Is there anything that can be done? Do they have any leeway to perhaps maybe ask for installment, or is it just all or nothing?
I completely understand what you're saying. They are expensive, and it was not my goal to make them that high. I was fighting to keep them as low as possible, but that's just what our financial officer decided. That's what we need to set the fees at. In terms of your question about is there any leeway or any payment plan, at this time, no. The fees do go onto the property owner's property tax bill. So if I don't know if they're able to work out a payment plan with a tax collector's office. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but that's the payment part goes to a different department and we don't deal with that. I will say that we are currently working on requesting $1 million from the state to be able to provide financial assistance to those who apply.
Okay.
So currently that's in the works. Our Department of Intergovernmental Relations is currently working with state senators to try and secure that funding for us. So we're really hoping that we'll be able to secure that sometime this year or next year, and that way we will be able to provide financial assistance to those who need it.
May I ask? I'm always seem to be perpetually confused as to how people get on this list. How do they find their way into the list to begin with? Can you just explain that process, please?
Sure. It's one of two ways. Either we receive a complaint about a property. So we have a portal online where people can report things, or they can call us or email us and report a property. Then we'll send an inspector out and we'll follow that warning letter process that I described earlier. Or if the inspector is doing their inspections in the area and they just happen to see a property that's out of compliance, then we follow that same warning letter process.
So you don't have a process step by which the inspector goes on, takes a look at pretty much all the WUI properties and flags the ones that need to belong to the list?
No, we don't go and scout the entire area. We currently have one inspector and we have a second inspector that's joining us at the end of the month seasonally. So we are very short staffed, and with about 1,700 properties throughout the county to inspect in a short window, it's challenging for us to keep our eyes on every area that we can.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, in spite of objections that I have to the cost, because I think the cost is prohibitively high. But having said that, I think the work you're doing is fantastic, and please keep on going. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any comments here? Okay, just real quickly. First of all, I really applaud the fact that you're modernizing this program to be interactive and educational for residents, and it's an inherently punitive process. But I've heard so many residents say, who's going to make that property get cleaned up? And we need a process like that. I love seeing that you're collaborating with the various services to work out how do we communicate with residents to educate them to not get in that situation in the first place. And I recognize the fees are high, but it's kind of an irony that it's because so many properties are being maintained now, they don't have as much business in a way to support that. So it's an interesting irony there. But thank you very much for continuing to modernize this and find a way to make it more and more effective.
Thank you.
Okay, any public comments on that?
I see none.
Okay, great. We'll move on to item 6B, the public hearing. I will now open the public hearing. The time is 7:35 p.m. Please note, if any members of the public would like to contest the inclusion of their name or parcel number in Exhibit A of Resolution 26-04 of the Los Altos Hills County Fire District Board of Commissioners to proceed with abatement of weeds, brush, and/or rubbish, now is the time to do so. Any and all persons interested, having any objections to said list or to any matter contained therein, may appear and be heard. Are there any comments from the public?
No, I see none.
None online either?
None
Okay,
online.
That's okay, great, thank you. Mr. Ioslewski, is it Ioslewski or Ioslewski? I hope I don't mean to mangle your name. I want to get it right.
Eoslewski.
Yes, thank you. Do you have any changes to Resolution 26-04, Exhibit A?
No.
Okay, in that case, I will close the public hearing. The public hearing is now closed at 7:36 p.m. Item 6C is to adopt Resolution 26-04 to proceed with the abatement of weeds, brush, and/or rubbish on the identified properties. Any clarifying questions from the commission? Seeing none, I will now entertain a motion and a second.
Warren moves to adopt Resolution 2604 as written.
Kadambi seconds.
Thank you. Any discussion from the commission? Not expecting. Any additional public comments on this item?
No, I see none.
None. In that case, we'll now vote on the resolution.
Okay, President Spring,
Yes.
Commissioner Basigi,
Yes.
Commissioner Kadambi,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Yes.
and the motion passes 4-0 with 3 absent.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time, sir. Moving on to item 7, Santa Clara County Fire Department Defensible Space Inspection Letters. Project Operations Manager Russell will be introducing this item as well.
It's a pleasure. Come on up. Good evening again. It is a great honor to have Deputy Fire Marshal, oh my gosh, Jeremy Davis with us this evening. Excuse me. I just wanted to introduce him and let you know that he's been such an amazing partner in throughout this year when we first started to look at the local responsibility area maps and that process. He was very helpful for the town, and we met every week, and he's just a pleasure to collaborate with. I want to give one example of the way how curious he is and what a wonderful collaborator he is. We had mentioned there was a resident who had signed up for a Santa Clara County Fire Department courtesy inspection, and they thought they had had an HIZ by the fire district. And Chief Davis said, I'd like to go right along with you on one of those and see what that's all about. So we did. We had a great time. The resident wanted to adopt us, and we had a lot of fun. And then he invited me to come and provide a class to his deputy fire marshal. So it was a great exchange. It's just a great example of the number of ways that we can collaborate and learn about one another's agencies so that we can really support and direct our residents in the right direction. So with that, it's a great honor to have you come up to and speak to the defensible space letters that were sent out. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Paige. That was quite an introduction. Good evening, commissioners and staff. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak. I think I can share that this has been a journey with the new fire hazard severity zone process. And I will commend the board and all the support that you've had. Paige spoke about the relationship that we've built and the collaboration that we've had weekly. We actually have weekly meetings with the town staff, with the fire district staff, and I will tell you, it has been phenomenal. We've been able to identify some gaps that we didn't realize were there, and then we were able to solve them. For instance, when courtesy inspections are made, we would call them courtesy inspections. We would come out, offer them thinking that we were doing a great service to your residents. Come to find out that the inspections were different than the home ignition zone inspections, which they needed a home ignition zone inspection to get resources that were available. So they had to have another inspection done. So this was just one very small success that we had in our weekly collaboration is how do we solve this? We want to make this an easy process. And so what we've done is we've been able to do it so that when our residents receive a letter and they want to find out what the town of Los Altos Hills has to offer, their resources, instead of me or our group trying to translate, we direct them, they click, they go directly to the resource page for the town of Los Altos Hills, and all of a sudden they can go have direct access, schedule their inspection. So that was just one small example. We could be here for days to talk about the other things, but it is a collaboration that we've been doing for quite a while. Does it take time? Absolutely. Do we have time to spend an hour every week? We don't, but we see the benefit and we're going to continue to do it because the outcome has been amazing. So thank you. I'll kind of talk about our defensible space inspections. The program is off to a great start. We have letters that are going to be mailed out. The residents should start receiving them this week. And basically it's a letter informing them of what the program is. And basically in the great picture, just bringing attention to, it's that time to go out, take a look at your program or take a look at your property. And when you see our fire engines out in your neighborhood, we're actually out there doing the work and we're doing the inspections. During that, our engine companies will be out there. Our crews will be out there for any resident that sees them. They're more than welcome to ask them questions. And we were really out there to kind of put our eyes on, are there any concerns that we're looking at? And if so, it's that education process. And that's really what we are pushing towards. We want to try to make this where it's educating them, and we don't get into the discussion where we're standing here in June and we have a list of residents that we weren't able to communicate well with or be able to collaborate with to get them asking you to put them on the weed abatement list. So some of the things, so that is the defensible space inspection letter. So as I said, they'll go out this week. So in case you have any questions, they'll start receiving them. We will be inspecting, there's about just over 1,600 residents that will be getting this letter. And we will be inspecting all 3 of the fire hazard severity zones. So that is the very high, the high, and the moderate. And so to answer your question, who's inspecting those? Obviously, Garrick is doing an amazing job with the weed abatement program, but staffing is challenging. County Fire, we are going to be those eyes and ears. And it does a couple things. Number one, it's good because our engines are getting out there. They're seeing the residents, they're seeing the neighborhood, district familiarization. There's so many good things that happen there, as well as it gives us that chance to speak with a resident. So we're going to inspect every single parcel in any one of those 3 zones. So like I said, we got about 1,600 inspections that they're going to do. What happens when our engine companies go out there and they see a violation? Basically something that could be improved on. So we don't really want to call them violations. Something like they don't have a 100-foot defensible space. We're not going to go out there and measure the grass and make sure it's 4 inches tall. We're not about that, right? So we want to use common sense. Do they have a 100-foot clearance? Are their roofs clear of pine needles and leaves and buildup? Their gutters clear? Their trees, do we have them trimmed up 6 feet up? And then the other thing that we'll do is we'll advise our apparatus access roads. Do we have enough clearance to get our engines through? We're going to advise we need at least 10 feet of clearance on either side of the road. If you're at 8 feet, we're not going to come out with a ruler and say, all right, you're not it. So that's not the type of inspections that we're going to do. This is more informational and make sure that we're able to get our apparatus in when needed. So those are some of the things that we are going to look for during our defensible space inspections. Now, if we find a resident that could use some work, we're going to educate. So we're going to give them what's called a door hanger. And we'll have the information that's very clear. Hey, this is something that we saw that you could improve. Please do this. We're going to be out in 14 days. We're going to give you 14 days. And then we're going to send someone else out to talk with you, to educate you, to encourage you, whatever it takes to bring them into compliance. So we're going to do that at the 14-day mark. If it's still not done, we will continue to come out and inspect and work with that homeowner up until the day that I come back before you guys, hopefully with no one on a list saying, hey, we're having a hard time getting compliance here. And we've even had it where an hour before we come before the commission, they're calling, they're like, hey, we've got it done. And we're like, that's great. The other thing I want to be very clear of is as long as we have, because everyone has constraints, as long as we have a resident that isn't in compliance, but they want to, they're working with us. They might not be able to do the entire thing in 14 days, but they're able to tell us we have a contractor on scheduled. Hey, we trimmed this tree today. We're going to do this one tomorrow. We're seeing that and they are working with us. That meets what we are looking for. So that is the spirit of what we're about to do, because we just want to make sure that everybody's safe and everyone deserves that their neighbor is doing the same thing. So that is the biggest thing. We are really focused on that education and then helping them become compliant. Obviously, we have some people that are not going to go that route. We have some people that they just aren't going to do it. They're not contacting us. We can't contact them. We have to do something. So then at that point, we will bring those parcels forward to you. And then at that point, that is how those parcels go to the county weed abatement program. And then at that point, now Garrick and his team will continue down his process. So it's not like with this, with your resident, it's not like we see it and now they're going to go on his list. That is not the way that it's going to work. And then, so I just want to reiterate that a huge thank you to the commission. Your ordinance allows us to inspect all 3 fire management zones. That is very important and it really helps us move that forward. If that ordinance wasn't in place, we would, the inspections would just be a fraction of the amount and it would only be very high. So, on behalf of the fire department, we want to thank you because that keeps everyone safe and helps us move forward with the direction that we're going. So with that, are there any questions, comments, or
I'll
concerns?
start from the end, Jim.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for explaining in a very deep, very deep way the steps that I did not understand that precedes what Garrett does. That's great. This pretty much puts all my concerns at rest in terms of catching my fellow residents flat-footed. So that's not going to be the case. That's great.
Yes.
So question number 2 I have for you. Do you do any of this stuff for the white color map, part of the hazard map? Not the yellow, brown, and red, but the white color part?
Yeah, so the WUI area that is not in a fire hazard severity zone. We do not inspect anything outside of these 3 zones.
Okay.
So it would just the staffing and the amount of time it would take to, if we said, hey, we're going to inspect all of the WUI, at this point, that would be the entire town of Los Altos Hills. And so that would be a different discussion if that was something we wanted to move into. But what we do offer is if a resident sees the fire engine 2 blocks down and they talk and they're like, oh, it'd be great to have a fire engine come out and do an inspection for us. Then we have that transition where they can contact us and then it would redirect them to the fire district, Los Altos Hills Fire District. And then that's how they would be incorporated with getting their inspection. And so everybody is included, everybody is able to. And one of the things during the collaboration that we've had was, okay, at this point, it used to come to us, we would do the inspection, and then it would be transferred over. To streamline it and to make it easier for the residents, we're going to point them directly over to the town of Los Altos Hills Fire District so that they can get that inspection. But at any point, if they have their wait list is too long, they have too much to do, then they'll just ping it back over and say, hey, Jeremy, can you send a couple of people out and help us out with this? And of course, our answer is yes, absolutely. We are there for that.
Right. Indeed.
So thank you for your proactive steps in trying to keep our community fire safe and safe in general. So more than it being non-compliant, I think it's a routine part of maintenance for everyone, every homeowner. That being said, I was just wondering, the brochure that we got some time back had a very nice visual. So if we could just link all these steps that we have, just, to a visual and to show, for instance, clearing your roof, for instance, just have a picture with all the pine needles and the debris, and then keeping the propane tanks away from the house and things like that. If you had a visual and a link to that, even if you don't have to send out the visual to everyone, but you can just say, look at these points. If you want to look at the visual, it's available on our website. So that would be
That is a very good suggestion. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
that. On our letters, exactly what you're thinking, because I'm a very visual person as well. It's important because if I don't see it, chances are I'm probably going to be confused. But on our letters, what we do is we have what's called a QR code so they can scan it. It'll take them directly to our wildfire website that has all the different links, as well as on that webpage, it will have the direct link to the town of Los Altos Hills Fire District. So they can look at, they've got the CAL FIRE stuff. They've got, so everything is standardized. When they click on it, it'll take them directly to where they are. So in case the fire district says, all right, we will also want to educate them on possible grants, on the chipping program, on this or on that, it'll bring them right there. And I just want to make one correction that we did send out 1,610 letters. And what we do is we're on a 3-year rotation. So what we will do is we will physically inspect 1/3 of those. The other 2 zones will have a opportunity to do a self-inspection. And so everyone will get the self-inspection list, but we will go out and inspect 1/3 this year, 1/3 next year, and 1/3 after that. And of course, if there's any requests, we will include those as well.
Great. Any comments? Hey, thank you very much. In fact, I'll also mention that I've heard similarly effusive praise, such as pages from other people as well, about your participation with us. So we really appreciate you being a part of what we're trying to build here. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Any public comments on these comments? I see we have, looks like we have one coming up here for you.
Alan Epstein, I live in the district. It's actually more of a question than a comment. You just mentioned the number 1,610. Is that 1/3, or do you send the letter out to all 4,000 people and 4,000 properties in the fire district and inspect just 1/3?
Very good question. I appreciate that. So the number of 1,610 are the properties that are within one of the 3 fire hazard severity zones.
So
that are in, this includes high, very high, high, and moderate.
that should be 1,600 houses, and 1/3 of those, so roughly 550 will be inspected per year.
Correct.
Does that answer the question, Alan? Does that get you?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay.
And just a clarifying question that I was able to get answered by the previous gentleman. I had the mistaken impression, and maybe you did as well, that they're inspecting all the properties. They're not inspecting all the properties. There are 1,700 people on his list, and he's just inspecting the 1,700 properties on the list. And that's 1,700 in the entire county, not in our district.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay, moving on to item 8, the fire chief report for February 2026. This will be Deputy Fire Chief Glass providing us a report.
All right. Good evening, commissioners and staff, members of the public. Corey, are you able to bring the report up?
Yes, give me one sec.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Okay, I'm pretty sure the commission's seen the new version of the report. So we're highlighting this month 10 years of celebrating Night to Shine throughout the district, successful probation of 3 firefighter engineers, and some of the crew highlights. 3 as it relates to CERT in the city of Campbell for their graduation. Next page. 3 significant events throughout the fire district. Again, you can see February 10th, we had a vehicle fire involving Battalion 83 units. Again, Highway 17 over the side rescue, and Mission Oaks Acute Care gas investigation in Los Gatos. And again, if we have any significant incidents that are in Los Altos Hills, they'll be featured in the monthly newsletter as well. We also celebrated one of our fire captains who's an acting battalion chief, who you may see in Battalion 74, working in the Battalion 74 capacity or in the Safety 72 capacity. That's Fire Captain Acting BC John Pittman for his outstanding service and as a public information officer at headquarters. Next page. Again, high-level breakdown of the calls for service. We're looking at 66 in the month of February. Obviously, it's a shorter month, a little bit lower call volume that we typically see, but a pretty average distribution of the call percentages. Looking at about 6 fire alarms, 3 hazardous conditions, 39 medicals, making up about 60% of the call volume for rescues and 14 service call. And just a gentle reminder that these are the calls as they come in, not what is actually found. So this is what we arrive and what we see. No significant incidents. I'm happy to report we were able to keep that box empty. That's what we always want to see. That means your community is safe and we're mitigating incidents before they happen. Some community outreach occurred. It seems like an awfully high number. 2,200 folks were contacted between middle and high school during the month of February and January. Again, we'll take a look at that and make sure that's an accurate number and circle back if there's any changes needed through the general manager's office. Next page. Average response time for fires. Happy to report that we had 0 fire responses in the month of February. That's why the yellow bar is missing. Moving on to medical emergencies, you can see that yellow bar is back well below the red line threshold, which is our standard benchmarking, which we like to have occur below that red line. Anytime we're over the red line, we like to take a look at that and see how we can improve that timeline. But again, really looking at call processing time and turnout time, about 1:24, 1:30. And then total reflex time. This is from time of alarm to time of arrival, 7 minutes, 21 seconds. And and then we break it down by urban and rural. Obviously, we get a little bit higher standard in that rural environment, trying to be there 11 minutes, 59 seconds. And for the urban area, 7:59. So again, when we average that all together in the third column, it comes out to 7:21. 39 medical responses in the month of February. Next page. Again, kind of a high-level snapshot of the rolling 12-month year. What we're looking at here is just kind of a distribution of calls, and you can kind of see how they track. And again, the one to key in on here is your medical calls. We consistently see about 60 to 70% EMS-related calls, and then fire calls coming in somewhere around that 1 to 2%, and then fire alarms, hazardous conditions, service calls, rescues, and then the all-important other, which is when the public can't figure out why they're calling 911, and we get there to help them identify what that issue might be. And then number of incidents year to date. So we're kind of looking at across the board of 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 of kind of where we would be in this time frame year over year. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Great. Any comments from commissioners? Seeing none. Great. Thank you very much. Any public comments? Seeing none. Great. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Moving on to item 9, the I-280 shaded fuel break update. Programs Planning and Grants Manager Woods will be providing us a report here.
Give me 1 sec. I've done mute.
Well, for everybody while she's doing that, we've been changing some of the logistics of how we're handling through the meeting. So we're sort of as a first run tonight. So we're learning some of the ways to switch things over.
Yeah, thank you, Corey. My video camera is also frozen under our new switchover. So tonight we'd like to just give you a quick monthly update on what we've been working on the I-280 shaded fuel break project. We have successfully filed our notice of project commencement for our secretarial suspension requirements, which means that the state offices now know that we have begun our project. Technically, this began with the Page Mill interchange work that was done last week. So we are officially on the books as begun and on the state map. I was in the district for 3 weeks last month, and I took lots of our partners out into the field. So PG&E surveyed their portion of our tree inventory that you've heard us talk about previously, where we surveyed the hazard trees and then reached out to our partners who those hazard trees fell into their areas of the project. Unfortunately, the 9 trees that were in the PG&E areas did not reach their criteria for what they call strike distance. So they will not be removing those 9 trees as part of this project, but they are remaining on their watch list as time goes by, tree health changes, storms, etc. the first phase of our rare plant survey was completed, and then we have another phase coming in June. Those plant surveys happen during the blooming period of the rare plants. So that's why there's 2 this spring, different blooming cycles for different plants that need surveyed. We had the geologist out in the field, so that was great. We also had our newest team member, Chief Skylar Thornton, out in the field with us. So he got a great orientation. We got to stop on the sides of the interstates and things with our Caltrans and our CHP escorts. And we also received some great hints and feedbacks on the operations side from Chief Thornton. The Page Mill satellite project is complete. There's an update slide in the consent portion of the packet. And then on the right are the things that are in progress for this month between now and the next commission meeting. We continue to work with the partners that we need to have our consultations with to meet the environmental protection plan we're obligated to have the standards under the secretarial suspension. This is part of that CEQA suspension that happened. So these are the things that we saved that 6 to 9 months on by achieving the exemption. And finally, the newest change for everyone in the room is we've pulled the Magdalena interchange out of the I-280 interstate project. We're going to treat all the interchanges in a congruent manner. That lets us change around our lane closure schedule. It lets us treat the interchange as part of our 2-year annual cycle in the evacuation route network, regardless of the decisions made for the maintenance cycle on I-280. It just makes sense to bring people all the way to the freeway and then treat the interchange that allows them to get on the freeway if we were in an evacuation. It's not as logical to have the holdup happen at the interchange because it isn't on a maintenance cycle right at the terminus of the evacuation routes that are on a maintenance cycle. So those are the things we're working on this month. End of report.
Thank you very much. A lot on here. It's nice to see stuff happening on 280. Any comments here?
Yeah, just thank you, Jenny, for the update. Been through the Page Mill intersection on a regular basis. It's on my commute route. A lot of great work was done there and efficiently. If everyone aware, they had 2 weeks scheduled to do the work, and they were able to wrap it up in 1 week. So moved along at a very good clip. And I think it's a great example of what will be the level of treatment that we're going to see for the rest of the interstate when the project gets going.
Great. Comments? Yes,
Yeah.
Jim.
Yeah, I just wanted to reinforce what Warren said. I also live within a mile of the interchange, put to the Page Mill Road, Page Mill 280 interchange, and I'm just blown away by the quality of the cleanup that they have done. It's amazing. Maybe my expectations are too high, but really, I think this is fantastic. So,
Wow.
I'd like
Great.
to also call out the city of Palo Alto and the Palo Alto Fire Department. Part of that interchange is their jurisdiction. So this is the first time that we've collaboratively worked with all 4 quarters of that interchange and Palo Alto. And Palo Alto Public Works took on the debris removal. They gave us a 20 cubic yard dumpster for trash. And Fire Safe Council did a great job. They're the contracted project manager for both agencies. So we were able to really achieve some efficiencies, as economies of scale, and make all 4 quadrants of that happen. And instead of having both agencies have to take 2 halves of it and do double sets of lane closures and interrupt the residents, et cetera. So there's lots of regional partner success there, as well as our I-280 initial acreage.
Nice. Did you have a comment?
I just wanted to, second or third the opinions. Same thing. Good job, Eugenia.
Great. Thanks very much. I think we'll be having these kind of reports going on an ongoing basis. So that's why since there's so much activity happening there, you're hearing a lot about that on a rolling story. So public comments. I see we have one.
Not a comment, just a question. I was just wondering what's happened to the schedule. There are a number of items that were to take place during the month of February. just curious whether they took place and whether the overall project is still on the schedule that was presented last month. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you. We'll be having some more comments on this in terms of both next month, which we can deal with the schedules and where things are, and we'll also be touching on some of these things in the upcoming reports. Okay, moving on to item 10, community education and risk reduction semi-annual reports. Let's see. Oh, before we begin the reports, I'd like to remind the commission that you are welcome and encouraged to ask questions throughout the presentations. Feel free to step up with questions at any time. I think the most efficient way to use everyone's time, just step right in. And don't look at me, just go right to the mic and ask. To help maintain the flow of the commission discussion, I'll ask for public comment at the end of this, so public can hold their questions, and then we'll take those at the end. And I'll ensure there's adequate time for that. Project Operations Manager Russell, who's been doing a lot of introductions tonight, will introduce this item as well.
Thank you. Well, it's my pleasure to kick off our year in review for community education and risk reduction. I'd like to take a moment before we move on to introduce the SIRS team. Next slide, please. There are only 4 of us. We're small but mighty. We are led by Denise Gluen. She's our leader, fearless leader, D. King Rob, and Debbie Stoksick. We also have 2 other of our partners this evening that are going to help us present our year in review. So if I could go to the next slide, please. Great. So we're kicking off our 2025 review by looking at HIZ assessments and rebate program, what worked, what we've learned, and what's next. So I'm really excited to welcome Jason Brooks, CEO and co-founder of FireSci, with us tonight. He's supported hundreds of fire agencies across the U.S., so I can't think of a better person to look at our performance and see how we're doing and how we square up against other agencies. But also what you may not know is not only does FireSci provide us with the software and the platform that we utilize for our defensible space inspection tool, but they also run the Chipper Day program, our very popular Chipper Day program. So again, he's a perfect person to really look at all of our interaction with the public and tell us how we're doing. Great. And with that, I will hand it off to Jason Brooks. Thank you.
Great. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me, and thank you for all the work that everyone does. Share my screen and just confirming everyone can see the screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks. So I'll just, as Paige said, I'll just briefly touch on some of the highlights that we see in the district. We have the privileged position of supporting defensible space assessment programs and home hardening programs in 12 states, a wide range of different things. And so I can just share some insights from that. But first thing I'll just kind of note here is just like what we saw everywhere, the LA fires had a massive impact in driving awareness, and we saw almost a 400% increase year over year of assessments that were done in 2025, or assessments that were requested, as well as significant updates in investments by the residents in terms of 10,000 plus hours that were invested. On the Chipper Day side of things, there's a couple things I was going to call your attention to here. We saw almost 600 residents that requested a Chipper Day pickup last year. But the key thing that we love to see is that 28% were first-time users. So this means the program is still reaching residents. We're still continuing to see new residents engage and remove that vegetation out of there. And then in the bottom left, I would draw your attention to the 83% stat, which is after a Chipper Day pickup, residents are asked about the program, and 83% cited this program as what caused them to remove that vegetation. So just really showing that interaction of A, reaching new residents, and also B, this program being really powerful as to helping remove a lot of fuel out of the community. Kind of moving along, but I think then thinking about and looking year over year where the program is, what you can sort of see here is that it started in 2023, grew in 24, 25, and ultimately what it looks like is that you have a really great diverse program. It's reaching almost all parts of the district, and that's kind of what we really wanted to see and make sure there wasn't concentration anywhere else. That's cool. I'll just skip the similar activity here, looking at Chipper Day. So then here we're just looking at kind of where participation was in the piles. Obviously, the bigger the circle, the better that means we've got the pile sizes. Again, this idea you should be taking away from this is that the chipping activity, as well as the defensible space, is happening all over the district. and the pile sizes are getting bigger and bigger. So like good news, more people are participating, more fuel is getting removed out of the community, making the community safer. I should note these slides were just in case the animation didn't work. So they're the same visuals this year over year. Right, as a backup. So now I'm going to shift into a little bit of just kind of comparison. So there's two things I'm going to do here. I'm just going to kind of compare 2024 to 2025, and then I'm going to compare the district to a similar type of community. So a couple of things I'll just sort of note here across the board is that you can see 2025 saw a significant increase. You saw more people walking with their assessor. That's that 91%. This means more residents were able to get out and engage with their resident. We see an increase in report opens. And the reason that's so important is we know unequivocally in the data, the more that an assessment happens, and then the more that a resident opens the report, the more action they take out in there. And we also saw even an increase in the reported residents of upline. So just all across the board, everything was sort of up in 2025, which is really encouraging to see. So then here, what we did is we basically looked for a program that was similar to the district. That means they had an assessment program, they have an HIZ program that's similar. They also look at it from education basis. So by and large, just essentially think of this as like a peer type organization to the district. And so what you can kind of see here, and everyone can kind of see the stats and different comparison points. The district shapes up really well. As I'll call your attention to, the average report opens is a huge driver for us. We just know that means residents are getting value. They're coming back to it to look at what they need to do. And, I would be remiss to not kind of shout out the efficiency of the staff. At the bottom there, you can see that in the district getting almost 248 average assessments done per assessor compared to the peer organization of 162. So they're doing a really good job. Last couple things I'll just note, and this is to kind of give the district and the community just a sense. We then also can break it down by Firewise communities, right? And so what you can see here, and again, the things I would just sort of call your attention to is that you've got some communities like in the center here where 20% of the properties have been assessed. So basically 1 out of 5 have raised their hand. They participated in the HIZ program. And then you've got some that are obviously lower. And again, some thoughts and recommendations here would be to increase the outreach or think of how to reach some of those other areas where the participation is lower. Similar kind of comparison here. By the way, I realized that the 0%, I'm not sure why that slipped in. I'll follow up with staff afterwards. But by and large, what you can see here is that across the board, pretty consistent, right? I mean, this is good. Once the Firewise communities are at the neighborhood level, once they get their assessment, we see pretty consistent activity here as far as post-assessment engagement. And then a little bit of a drop off here looking at what has happened in the neighborhoods of actually making sure they took one recommended action following that assessment, with the idea being that we can see pretty high rates here, but then we've got some other ones that are low. And so this can be a way for the district or the community in the program to just think about where to prioritize resources. And with that, I will stop and take if there's questions now or however you'd like to approach this.
Any questions, any comments from the commission? Nope. No, let's keep going. Yep. Oh, that's the end of his. Okay, we'll keep rolling.
Great. Next up, we have Barbara Gonzalez from the Fire Safe Council, and she's going to look at HIZ rebates in review for 2025 and year over year.
Wonderful. Good afternoon, board, staff, and public. Seems I'm having some issues with my camera. Apologies. But we can go ahead and review our 2025 HIZ rebates. If we can go on to the next slide, please. Okay, wonderful. So you can see on our graph here that we do have 2025, and we are comparing it with our 2024 and 2023 metrics. So you can see the jump from 2023 onto 2025. And you can just see that looks like our numbers have more than doubled. I want to say 5 times the amount that we have had rebates for. Our funds distributed have also climbed up to $100,000. And then we are just averaging the rebates as well, showing maximum rebates and minimum just to get that captured for you. The project's capped at 3,000 currently, and it looks like the percent of projects capped has gone down, but in fact, the 2025 rebates have, more than doubled. So it is a good graph, good indicator of our program here. And so you can see that the rebate program continues to drive homeowner participation in wildfire preparedness. Excuse me. Many projects are exceeding the minimum requirements, indicating strong community engagement. The number of projects reaching that $3,000 cap suggests a high demand for that mitigation funding work. And incentives are also helping accelerate this defensible space creation and fuel reduction around homes. If we can move on to the next slide. Okay, great. So here we do see our graphs in the rebate program participation growth. So we do see that participation growing from 2023 on to 2025, as well as the rebate funding distributed. So that's that $100,000. So this, excuse me, goes to show, right, 2023, 10 projects, 24, we're seeing 19 projects, so that's that 90% increase. And then 25, we are seeing the 52 projects, so about like the 174% increase from 2024. So we're seeing an increase in participation properties, totaling 81 properties improved across these 3 years. Funding and participation have grown significantly, showing increasing community engagement and program impact. Total program investment also quadrupled from 2023 to 2025. And funding increase also reflects both higher participation and larger projects. So this highlights a significant community investment in that wildfire risk. We can go on to the next slide, please. Okay, so this just relays the rebate program continuing to drive homeowner participation in wildfire preparedness. Many projects are exceeding that minimum requirement, so showing high demand for the mitigation work. And so we're seeing large projects qualifying for that maximum incentive. So our average rebate does show for $2,000 per property, but we're seeing this average go up for 2025 as well. So great trajectory in this program. And then we can go on to the next slide. And this just shows our projects are increasing by that 5 times at least. Funding distributed also increasing by 4, and showing that 81 properties have been improved for this program. So again, just showing growing program awareness, strong demand. We're seeing effective outreach program administration as well, driving these residents to get assessments done and rebates applied. So this represents the defensible space creation, the fuels reduction, home hardening improvements, and program showing higher percentage of maximum rebates as well. And with that, that caps my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Actually, Jim, you had a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to get reminded, how do people qualify for the payout? And is there any check on what the payout actually gets? What do we get for that payout?
Paige can answer that, I think.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you. Great question. So how do you qualify was the first question, correct?
Mhm.
So in order to qualify, you have to have an HIZ assessment conducted. We send a report to that resident, And then it says on the report, everything that's rebate eligible. So tree removal is not, for example, eligible, but there are a number of like tree limbing, any kind of defensible space improvements up to 100 feet are all eligible. So it's very clearly marked out in the report. Additionally, in terms of how you mechanically do that, if we can go back one, that's okay. We mechanically do that. Our residents now apply online. So when they're ready to apply, they would open up an application within their report. They'd create an account and they have to upload after photos. I think this answers your second question. How do we verify the work is done? So there's a number of ways. One, resident goes into the report, they can upload after photos proving we review. We also offer going out to a property and taking those photos ourselves. So if someone is feeling uncomfortable with the technology, we will go out and do that as well and confirm. But there are 3 of us that review the request, the applications, we verify the photos, we all sign off on those, and then that is created in a packet from the Fire Safe Council. Fire Safe Council moves that forward to Corey, and then it goes back to the Fire Safe Council to get paid out. So,
Thank you. This is quite wonderful. One other question I
Yes,
have is,
please.
how many of these requests are repeats instead of first timers?
Our repeats. Barbara, do you have that metric? The question was how many are repeated? We do have some, I would say definitely not a lot. We're in early days in this program, but I'll let Barbara speak to that if she has that metric.
No, that's a great question. I do not have that metric, but I can get that and share as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Wonderful questions.
Mhm.
So I want to thank Barbara and Jason for both for
Hold
presenting.
on, we're not
Oh,
done
yeah.
with questions
Oh,
yet.
sorry. Put my
Yeah.
glasses on.
Yep.
So as far as the repeat is concerned, if everyone does it within that time, chances are it takes a little while for the tree limbs to grow again. So I think the repeat will happen probably 2-3 years later, is what I'm thinking. But the other things, just keeping the weeds and other things,
Right.
those will always
I see what you're
continue.
saying.
But I just had a question. Other than those weeds and other things don't get any rebate, if it is done like the tilling and other things of those.
It definitely would qualify. You do have to use a licensed contractor. So that is one of the requirements. So in that case, it depends on how cost prohibitive or efficient that is for the resident. They have to make that decision, get that bid and so forth. But in terms of the repeat, just to clarify, a resident may apply every calendar year for a new rebate. So now, as I'm going to discuss, we moved from 6-month eligibility period to 2 years. So each assessment is, you could ostensibly qualify for 2 rebate rounds, 1 per calendar year. But we'll always come out and reassess too if a resident requests that.
Actually, one comment I just want to pass on that I heard from a resident at lunch today as we were at the luncheon that I'd never heard of. One of the ways this rebates is actually solving problems we didn't have is she had problem of a neighbor issue of overhanging limbs in her neighbors. The neighbors would not pay. They'd say, hey, please, can you trim your limbs? You're falling on our property and it's causing these issues. Neighbor wouldn't do it. So she was able to do it herself and had the rebate program pay her for it. And that's finally solved a longstanding neighbor issue. So it's this sort of untying knots of issues that were preventing reasonable things from getting solved. Anyway.
Yes, that's a really good point.
Okay, well, we can
Great.
proceed, I guess. Yep.
Okay. No, there you go. Just wait until the slides pop back up. So 2025 was a very big year for the HIZ program, as you could see. Looking back, we made a lot of changes last year, so many incremental changes that I couldn't even capture for you tonight. We'd be here all night. But I do want to highlight some of the most meaningful changes that we made. And before we do dive into that, I do want to talk about the mission that drives everything we do and every change that we make. And when it comes to the HIZ program. So if I could ask you to move to the next slide. And, the way I look at this program is we have many opportunities to develop a relationship, to develop trust with our residents. And it starts with outreach. So education only. We want it to be non-threatening. We want them to know that we're coming out to help them and provide them with information, education. And then the HIZ assessment, the interaction that we have with the residents is invaluable. I think all of us that are assessors, we see it firsthand. We see the light bulbs go on. We are able, I think everyone is very committed to this. I'm going to talk about our assessors in a minute, but they're very attuned to each resident and their needs and meeting those needs. And then the follow-up support. There is so much follow-up support that we provide, whether that be technical support, education, references, and then the work completed. So this looks like a linear line, but really to answer your question about how many people come back, we want this to be a loop, So I see this as an opportunity to really make that relationship with our residents, and we never want to break that. So with that, if we can go on to the next slide. Excuse me. So I wanted to talk a little bit about one of the improvements we made was to our survey, and we really focused on it being a customer satisfaction survey rather than the prior survey asked residents to say, to evaluate the chances that they would do work. For example, there were certain things that we realized were not helpful metrics for us, but what we really wanted was to hear from our residents how this program was working for them, what wasn't working. And the best part about the revamp of that survey is that we can circle back to every resident. We can actually solve the problems, the ones that somehow slip through all the other communication cracks. This gives us the opportunity to circle back to them. One thing I will say, and I am not exaggerating, in answer to this question, how was your experience with the HIZ assessment? It's glowing marks about our assessors. I'll just give you a few examples. The assessor was amazing to work with, encouraging, responsive, knowledgeable, proactive, and patient. Another one, beyond helpful and informative, made the process seamless and very efficient. And then another one, excellent knowledge of plants and good. I wanted to just completely paste all of them on here, but very positive. And I think, there's a reason why our assessors are passionate about what they do, but they're also always striving to learn. And so if we can move to the next slide, please. And, one of the things, so they're always striving to learn in formal and informal ways, and the district really supports that. So I'm really proud to just all of our efforts. Last year was a lot of on-the-job training, so many opportunities to interact with the residents. And, every time I drove away, and I know Debbie too, we drive away from an assessment and I would think, okay, I would just evaluate. How did that go? How could I do different? How could I communicate that differently? And one ways that we did that last year that we really have enjoyed is shadowing. So we will go out together and one will do the assessment and another will shadow and watch and learn. And then we provide each other with feedback. Mostly we're just like, I really like the way you said that. That was great. That really landed. So we're going to continue to do more of that in 2026. We also have biweekly meetings with Fireside. Fireside is it's a wonderful platform, but there's a lot to learn. And there's a lot, we really want to maximize using the workflow tools. Really, I drive every feature that a resident would drive. So I understand what it's like to be a resident. And then Fireside has been a wonderful partner in, receiving that feedback. And so that's been wonderful. They're making a lot of changes. And then in 2025, Ryan Cronin earned his wildfire mitigation specialist certification. And that is no small feat. It's a self-driven study. And he came back and he said, I would recommend that. So there's a number of us that are going to pursue that next. At the end of this month, we'll be going to the WUI conference. So Tony and Debbie will be doing the NFPA training. And so we'll have Tony on board to do assessments as well from the Fire Safe Council. We're going to do more shadowing opportunities. So those are our assessors on a program level, similar to our commitment to continuous education, continuous improvement. So I'm going to just capture some of the ways that we're really committed to that. Next slide, please. So this is a small example. Communication to me is that make or break. I want it to be timely and supportive. And one of the ways that we've done that, we've created one email that goes out to a number of our team members. So that means someone's on vacation, they're always getting back to that resident. I know we all have probably experienced that frustration when you reach out and it goes nowhere. Phone calls, same thing. So we really make ourselves available and pride ourselves on a prompt response. We also use Fireside. One of the great features of that system is it will send out automated emails. So when we were just super busy, those emails were going out. However, we always follow up with real emails from people, because sometimes that goes to junk mail. And, we were hearing from residents, I didn't get an email. And we asked them, okay, well, can you search for this? Yes, there it is. But we didn't want to leave it to chance. So we were definitely following up with our own emails to residents. So with that, if I can move on to the next, another way that we're really committed to continuous improvement, there's a lot of technology in this program. And so again, proactively seeking feedback from our residents. How is this program working, this platform working for you? One of the things that we noticed was sometimes residents had a hard time with uploading photos, for example. So we started to create guides and templates that we were sending out after every single assessment. And then also we made some videos, how-to videos on uploading photos, as well as as creating an online account. And then, like I said, we've moved to the online rebate application as of 2026. We did beta test that in November and December, and we got some really great beta testers, and they had some good feedback. So this is really a work in progress. But the goal is that it will improve efficiency in the long run. And I hope when I come back in August, I'm going to have great news reporting on how wonderful that system is. So next slide, please. Great. So as you all know, we're very solution oriented where we can provide solutions. We've definitely heard, certain things that people, I don't want to have to use a licensed contractor. So there's certain things that are immovable that we can't change, but where we can, we are definitely flexible to do so if we can. And the 6 months to 2 years is really one of those examples. I know that the residents really appreciate having that extra time. It made sense with really no cost to us. Next slide. So every great program does have room to grow, and ours is no exception. So for us, the areas that I would like to improve in 2026 is really just the rebate, getting that to be more efficient and timely, because that is one of the feedback we get, is that it takes a long time and it's cumbersome. And then the technology. So we are working on both of those. And right now we're offering support. We will bend over backwards to help residents with these gaps, but we want eventually the system to work for them. Next slide. So one of the ways that we also are continuously improving this program is through collaboration, because collaboration leads to, hopefully, to alignment. And the more that we're aligned with our partner agencies, the less confusing it is for our residents. They're working with a lot of different agencies, defensible space, weed abatement, and we want to all be in alignment. I talked this evening about our collaboration with Santa Clara County Fire Department and Chief Davis coming along on that HIZ. Even within our small team, I was attending some of the FireWise office hours and hearing the FireWise leaders often saying, we're having a difficult time recruiting new members. So our team, our HIZ team, got together And now it's standard on every HIZ before we go out and conduct that HIZ. We find out if they're in a Firewise community already, and then we let them know, you know, you're in a Firewise community. If they don't, we put them in contact if they're willing with leadership. So, because we can't just give names out to leadership. So it's a way of connecting and, you know, explaining the program, et cetera, or trying to recruit people that might be interested in being leaders of a Firewise community. And then the town of Los Altos and committees has been super fruitful. Part of those weekly meetings that D. King Rob is going to talk about. If we can go to the next slide. During our weekly meetings, the town agreed to have an assessment. And so I came to town hall here, and a number of the staff accompanied me. We went around and we created an HIZ assessment for them. And then they created their own web page that really they're putting themselves out there as a leader in the community. Watch us as we go through this process. And brilliantly, they designed this in phases. So we did the back first, that's phase 1. And then they're going to do phase 2 on the side, and then they'll do phase 3 last. So the great thing is that has come out of this, the great opportunity that I don't think we could have foreseen is during one of those meetings, I said, you know, I was just conducting an HIZ recently, and a resident said, I'm so frustrated. What you're telling me is different from what I'm hearing from the town. And I didn't know what that meant, like who in the town is, you know, going out. So we were able to determine that the committee, EDPC in particular, was, you know, they have their mission, and we did discover some misalignments. If we can go to the next slide. So Denise and I started attending some of their meetings and just really trying to learn what their mission is and where we are and where we are not aligned. They've been tasked with rewriting their landscape design guidelines, and they're doing a great job with the EPRC, both of those committees working together. And then just last week, we conducted another HIZ for both of those committees. They came out and we walked around, and it was just such a robust, wonderful conversation, a wonderful exchange. They had great questions. And we thought, oh gosh, the zero zone, you know, they were debating trees for a few weeks, I will say. And we kept thinking, I hope we can get the zero zone through. And they were all like, oh no, we don't tell people to put anything in the zero zone. So it was just great to learn, like, oh, they've got that. That's wonderful. We are aligned there. So, so anyway, that's been a wonderful, like I said, fruitful collaboration. So, what's next? Next slide, please. We really want to reach more residents. So far we've reached 10% of our population. So we want to get more residents having HIZs conducted for the first time, but we also want to increase engagement. I know residents, they call me all the time and they tell me, oh, I did, you know, you'd be so proud of me. I did this and that. Did you take photos? No, I don't want. So I often offer, well, I'll come out and do those for you. So I know people are doing more work than they're actually documenting. But we do want to thoughtfully increase that engagement. And there's we have some exciting projects on the forefront that, again, when I come back in August, I might have more specific news on that. But just know we're always thinking and always looking to improve. So any questions? Great. With that, I will pass it on to D. King Rob. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paige. All right. Thank you, Corey. So I would like to continue with the theme of collaboration and circle back to the weekly meetings that we have with the town of Los Altos Hills and the Santa Clara County Fire Department. These meetings originated around WUI and weed abatement discussion in 2024, but transitioned to more of an ongoing collaboration as the fire hazard severity zone maps for local responsibility areas were updated by Cal OES Office of the Fire State Marshal in coordination with Cal Fire. That was a mouthful. In January of 2025, the MAP adoption process for the town of Los Altos Hills began. So the district continues to facilitate these weekly meetings with the town of Los Altos Hills, Santa Clara County Fire Department, and district staff every Wednesday afternoon, rain or shine, to discuss wildfire mitigation and ordinance alignment. Next slide. In addition to the weekly meetings with the town and county fire, the district attends many town committee meetings such as the EPRC, EDPC, Technology Group, Planning Commission, and Pathways Committee. The district's general manager presents at the town council meetings, and the CE and RR manager presents at the EPRC meetings. The district also collaborates with Los Altos Mountain View Community Foundation, Resilient Los Altos, Mid-Penn's Open Space Committee, and most recently, the City of Palo Alto Office of Emergency Services, as well as Palo Alto Fire Department. Next slide. All right, we made it through Super Bowl 60, and it was great. Now, the focus is on FIFA World Cup 2026, and planning and the countdown begins. There are 95 days until the first match at Levi Stadium, scheduled for Saturday, June 13th. The Bay Area continues to host 5 additional matches through Wednesday, July 1st. The San Francisco Bay Area and Santa Clara County will be heavily impacted by fans and team members arriving from various countries. Gathering spots, roads, airports, and hospitals, just to name a few, will be affected. So please plan your travel through the Bay Area between June 2nd and July 13th accordingly. And I just wanted to highlight that event impact. There will be a lot of people coming through our areas. So we have that to look forward to. Next slide, please. So back to, I think one back, please, Corey. It should be slide 34. Yeah, one back. I think we'll keep it on FIFA. Thank you. So I have been attending in-person planning meetings hosted by the Santa Clara County Office of Emergency Management every other Monday since May 27th of 2025. I am there to collaborate with local, regional, state, and federal partners, ask questions, and to receive updates to ensure the residents of the Los Altos Hills County Fire District remains informed about safety issues, weather, big transit disruptions, and other event impacts. There is a FIFA 26 short code in partnership with Alert SCC coming out very soon, where you can opt in to receive timely event-related text alerts. So that will be coming really soon. So I think in summary, I just really want to highlight the trust and the strength that we have in our partnerships. We are fortunate to have created strong relationships at nearly every level, starting at the jurisdictional levels with the town of Los Altos Hills, Santa Clara County Fire Department, Palo Alto, Stanford, Woodside Fire, Santa Clara Police Department, and even the incident command staff there at Levi Stadium. At the county level, we have Santa Clara County Office of Emergency Management, Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office, Santa Clara County Fire Safe Council, and County EMS. At the state level, we have agencies like Cal OES, Cal Fire, Office of State Fire Marshal, Caltrans. At the federal level, there's FEMA, San Francisco FBI, and at the national level with agencies like the National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, National Weather Service, and the Federation International de Football Association, also known as FIFA. And this is just to name a few. We have prioritized the opportunity to work together, learn from one another, celebrate each other, and really lean into these partnerships, keeping the bonds strong and paving the way for continued innovative collaboration. And now, are there any questions before? Okay, thank you so much. And now I would like to pass the mic over to Community Risk Reduction Specialist, Debbie Stoksick, for information about district classes. And next slide, please, Corey. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dee. So the district offered many classes in 2025, and 2026 is no different, as you can see from the Be Ready, Be Prepared calendar up above. But we're going to take it one step further. So this year, our focus is on making these classes more accessible and available to everyone. We're partnering with KMVT, Silicon Valley Community Media, to record these presentations, allowing us to offer hybrid viewing options. So residents can continue to attend in person, which is the best way because you're here, you get to ask questions, see your neighbors, have Denise's snacks. You can watch it live, which we also have somebody monitoring the computer to look at the chats, and you can still ask questions or to use the information later. So our community leaders in Firewise that they've made these leaders all around Los Altos Hills and County Fire District, they wanted a strong schedule for educational opportunities because they have to offer at least 1 hour or more a year for all of their other community partners. Now, you can visit our website for past classes and events on the link provided above. So the Be Prepared classes are so important because when the people come here, that they feel less fear. It prevents the chaos. They know exactly what they're going to be doing. They go to their go bags or whatever it is where their emergency kits are, and it helps us save lives while helping the community recover faster. And that's our goal for them. Next slide, please. We actually started the classes in December of last year, and it was emergency kits and go bags. But the great thing about attending in person is you also receive a preparedness item, and this month was the emergency kit or the go bag. Next slide, please. In January, we did creating emergency plans where people got to start creating their plans for themselves, their family, and their neighbors. And the preparedness item given to the attendees here was a personal water filter straw for their emergency kits. Next slide. This last month in February, we did inclement weather, which it was kind of perfect because it just ended being pouring rain, and now we're going to slowly be getting into wildland season. The preparedness item for this class was 2 rain ponchos for their kit. But this is also a great use at the Grizzly Run when you go to Disneyland. Just make sure you put it back in your emergency kit when you get back. So definitely sign up for these district classes. And on the website, I know that I have learned something, a little nugget taken away every single class that I even help attend. But for future classes, I'm going to pass the mic over to Community Education and Risk Reduction Manager, Denise Gluen, and she'll tell you about more events coming up.
All right. Good evening, commissioners. Thank you again for this opportunity. Thank you for my team to start us off. I'm going to take us on home. I'm going to finish up. We just talked about past classes. We have a class coming up on March 28th. This is our first experience in bringing a little bit of additional teaching skill sets and different instructors. So we had a highly recommended from the Silicon Valley chapter of the Red Cross, Ben Pantner, and he is going to come and teach. We're calling it the Build a Kit, but with that comes basic first aid skills. So you'll get a kit. Out of that kit, you'll learn basic first aid skills from the items in that kit. So again, one of the things that's really cool, we decided to make the classes on Saturdays. So they're about once a month. They're always 10 to 12. So you don't have to go, was it 1 o'clock or what time was that? And it's always here at Town Hall. So we made that really kind of easy to remember. And then again, if you attend in person, you get an item we wanted to grow up with each of these sessions, grow up their kits. Our class next month in April will be about the kits again. So that's kind of the idea. They attend the class, they get something for the kit, they get skills, they learn something. We're also using the wildfire preparedness workshop book that I use when I teach Firewise communities about evacuation planning. We're using that in each of the classes. So the appropriate pages, we're applying that workbook. So we're also doing a dual preparedness around evacuation using that guidebook and planning and emergencies. Next slide. So one of those items that Debbie had mentioned too is in order to renew every year, participating members inside Firewise boundaries, which we'll look at that map in a minute, need to be offered an educational experience. So to make that easier on the resident leaders of the Firewise communities, we've gone ahead and set up for our 3rd annual Wildfire Community Preparedness Day. This year it will happen it's always the first Saturday of the month. It will happen on May 2nd this year. If you go on the NFPA map, you can see our location on their map. Again, we have we've tried a couple of different things. Year 1 was here at Town Hall and it rained like I've never seen it rain before. So that was a little tight, little hard. So we decided we would go a little bigger. We went to Gardner Bullis School last year and offered hybrid last year. So we had a nice recording out of that. So we really liked the hybrid option, but we like the location here. So we're back here at Town Hall this year. So we have limited seating, but we are still going hybrid. So we have unlimited viewing potential. And we, as like last year, we're recording the event so that you can watch it after. So we have, again, Dr. Swain, who, if you didn't see some of our other slides during the year, he was voted one of Time Magazine's top 100 influential people. He knows the area very well. He went to Stanford. So he is very aware and passionate of our area. So he's returning again this year, speaking around climate and wildfire science in relation to climate. Joel Lesher, again, popular. This is his 3rd year with us. He's worked both sides of the fence, 30 years with the Insurance Commissioner's Office for the state of California, retired. Now he's with the nonprofit United Policyholders. So he's more on the advocate side for the people getting insurance in California. So he comes and talks about the issues and things going on around homeowners insurance, non-renewals, shopping for insurance, all those things. And then new and a great collaboration we met through the Santa Clara County Emergency Manager Awards Luncheon that Mike Salome received the award. We met Dr. Cindy Schmidt. Was at our table. She's actually recently retired from NASA Ames. So she's going to come in and talk about the geospatial disaster assessment, which I'd love to give you more information on, but I haven't seen her presentation yet. So I really can't tell you what that's about. So I encourage you to sign up and come visit and see, make that time. We moved the time to just an afternoon session. And then the very last session, depending on what types of signups we get, I'm going to have a focused kind of question and answer update for the Firewise community. So that if we get a lot of we're hoping to get at least a leader from each of the communities so that we can talk about what that looks like and how we can mentor each other, have ambassadors, and keep that Firewise program sustained and robust. So register today, registration's open. You can register hybrid or in person, recommend in person, come see us. Next slide, please. Just real quick, I didn't want to forget, thank you, Outreach, all these flyers, all these things, all the websites, all of that. That's that collaboration you saw last month in action. So thank you again to the Outreach team for helping us get all of these things up and running. It's a true collaboration that we have to be functional. Okay, I'm going to move into the Firewise update. So in the last 6 months, since we last did an update in the July, August time, we've had 3 new Firewise communities. So that takes our total now to 11 Firewise communities. So as Paige mentioned earlier, before they go out to an HIZ, they look to see if someone's in a Firewise community. There's a pretty good chance they already live in one that's done the heavy lifting of organizing. So that's a really, really nice place to be now. When we started out back in 2022 with 1 Firewise community, there was hardly a chance you were going to be living in it unless you happened to be Jim Basigi over there. You would have been living in Saddle Mountain and been lucky, but everybody else was out of luck. So I want to really thank the leadership of the community leaders that have stepped up, done that hard work, and continue to do that hard work, because it's not done just because they get recognized. It's got to sustain itself. So we'll see how that looks in the next few years. But again, we have also, I can't give him kudos tonight, but George Tyson has opened his application for Roblita Creek. So he's got that rolling along the way. So that'll be hopefully our 12th soon. Next slide, Corey. So we continue to do our Firewise office hours twice a month. Like Paige said, it's a great place to, it's a lot of times we get several leaders, but we often get very new people that know nothing about Firewise. So they've come in through an HIZ, they've come in because a neighbor told them, they just have questions. So again, it's a really nice space to come in, ask questions. We always have an educational experience. We cruise through the website, we use our newsletter. Again, thank you to Outreach for giving us lots of things that we can pull from. So we have that again the first Wednesday of the month in the afternoon at 1:30 and the second Tuesday at 7 p.m. So a couple opportunities to again interact and spread all of the opportunities around that we're doing. And you can see the example of our meeting from last month. So next slide. So as I mentioned, we're up to 11 recognized communities here. You can see that beautiful streak of green there. Again, the lighter spaced areas are potential areas for growth that we have to expand into. But again, just a great, expansion of this program. And this is residents getting together, doing education, getting to be engaged with their neighbors, having that community. And again, in the Be Ready, Be Prepared series that we talked about, all of the classes, one of our main focus is the neighbor connection, getting to know community, getting to know neighbors, and including them in your planning. If you've got your plans ready, reach out to your neighbors and see how you could help them. And I want to again thank Dee, because her admin and helping me stay organized has been instrumental to keep this growth going. So again, we also have organizing communities in the area that's known as the Genesis Protect 6 and 31 also. So we may have a couple more opening up applications soon. Next slide. Okay, here's to where the rubber meets the road. What does this mean? What does this Firewise thing mean in the Los Altos Hills County Fire District? I know this is a lot of colors, a lot of numbers. We're going to mostly let's focus to the right side, to those shapes. You can go back and look at this, but these are comparisons of 2024 to 2025. And so where these come from is when there's either an application or renewal, there's some criteria areas that the residents complete in that. Again, this is the honor system. There is no Firewise police that comes back and, says, prove it, show a receipt, much unlike the needing a contractor and having a receipt for the HIZ. This is all honor system. So this is what our residents have submitted either in a renewal or an initial application. So let's look at 2024 totals across the board. And we had almost 11,000 hours. So these are hours that people spend DIY in their home hardening or vegetation management, go to classes, attend meetings, organizing for their Firewise community, whatever it counts, that's that 1 hour that's required of each resident that's living inside the boundary. Now, we only have 10% participation in most areas. So they're making up for the 90% that aren't participating yet with their hours. So we had in 2024, almost 11,000 hours. 2025, we were up to 13,000, almost 14,000 hours. That gives a 2-year combined total of almost 25,000 hours that residents are volunteering in their community. So great job for the residents. Next slide. So again, I said risk reduction hours. Now this one is actually cubic yards removed. So how much vegetation? This is where we're measuring those things. And again, this is the reporting from the Firewise leadership. The residents send in their information to the leadership, and the leadership puts it on the either application or their renewal form that happens annually. So these are cubic yards. So in 2024, almost 9,400 cubic yards of vegetation removed. In 2025, almost 40,500 cubic yards. So that growth is, 4 times as much. What is that combined total? Almost 50,000 cubic yards of vegetation removed. And again, this is what's reported through the renewal system or the application. So the last total that I want to move to, these are great numbers, but this is kind of the big number that hits home. And this is investment total. So we did hours, we did cubic yards. Now we're doing money spent, home hardening, vegetation management. In 2024, we did almost $2 million. 2025, almost $7 million, with a 2-year total of those 2 years of almost $3.9 million. Again, this is what's going on in the Firewise communities. This is the measure of the activity. That's HIZs, That's what's chipping. That's what's going out in green waste. So again, this is the investment that the residents are making. And again, we're talking small numbers. We're going to see in a minute what small numbers of participation. So imagine the potential for growth. Next slide. So potential for growth. So inside the Firewise boundary, there's a number of homes. We drew the boundaries using the Genesis Protect map. So we have a measurement of each home, each APN individual home inside those boundaries. So when it says a participating member, that's who they have an email contact. They've been able to reach out. They have some way to contact, email, phone, whatever the way. They have some way to connect with that person. And you can see it pretty much is in alignment with how many years they've been a Firewise community. Saddle Mountain having the biggest amount of people because they've been a Firewise community the longest. They have a total of 116 homes, just to break that down for you to see the potential of growth. So they're over halfway there on knowing over half of their residents in their community. You can see in the other communities, our largest community is Fremont Hills. They have a long way to go. They're a really big community, 553 homes. But they'll get there. And that's where that HIZ program and letting people know you live in a Firewise community, coming to our meetings, hearing about it. We do weekly content. Again, thank you to Outreach, monthly newsletter. We do a lot of things to encourage people to participate because, again, we'll see those numbers on those charts that I just showed you increase. But this kind of gives you an idea of, you know, it is one of the frustrations. I have such little participation, but we drew the boundaries big because there's a lot of paperwork to do. If you expand the boundaries, you have to create a new 3-year plan. You have to do a new map. So there's a lot of, and you have to set your goals in that 3-year plan and a community risk assessment. So we drew the boundaries big and said, let's grow into these shoes instead of making the shoes small and having to get bigger ones in the future. Next slide. So one of the other things that I did this time that I haven't done before is I went through and looked at the 3-year plans. So the community set up their 3-year plans in their initial application or in the renewal. And I took those, and there were 4 categories that the NFPA sets up when you have those 3-year plans prepared. So we start out in the education goal. And the number 1 goal was recruitment, which we just kind of saw the potential there in that last slide. And that's across the board. Everybody wants to recruit more people. In the home hardening realm, the top goal was to remove combustibles in the 0 to 5 feet or that 0 zone. So that's right in alignment, especially if you live in a very high severity zone in the fire hazard severity maps. That's right in alignment with what state law and what insurers are asking their residents to do. And it's our HIZ program. We mentioned earlier, what are the things that are rebate eligible? Vegetation in the 0 to 5. So great alignment there. What was the top goal in the defensible space? And it's, again, they said something around vegetation removal. So encourage removal of dead vegetation. So that's kind of across the board, different terms, but that was kind of the general idea. And then in the evacuation planning is to get more information on evacuation route planning. And some of our collaboration, we're looking at doing an evacuation drill next year in early spring. So again, these are the goals that came from the communities themselves that they decided were priorities for them. Next slide. So that's kind of it on Firewise. If there's any questions, I can stop now or I can continue down.
Doing an amazing job in knitting everybody together, the whole community. And most important, not only are you sharing, caring, you're also doing. So, you're doing so many hands-on things too. And that's, you're using a multimodal kind of approach. So thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you. And thank you for that recognition. That is also one of our goals, is to lean into those volunteer Firewise communities and try to get them to go for not just the wildfire preparedness, but the overall preparedness. So that moves us into these volunteer events that we had. So here's some of the some pictures of some of the events that we participated in. This is oftentimes CERTs, HAMs, some of our Firewise people. So you can see Touch a Truck, Hoedown, 4th of July, and then some CERT exercises are represented on this slide. Next slide, please. In that vein, we have a really great opportunity coming up the end of this month. One of the programs that we have, obviously, is our community emergency response team. And one of the things that we like to have is refreshers so that they can get those skills because they're infrequently used skills. But one of the things that's near and dear to my heart is resiliency, especially after disasters. So we reached out to Los Altos CERT members and said, is there any way that we can, with the Resilient Los Altos group, is there any way that we can put on a joint CERT refresher? So we're doing that with Art Whipple's kindly. He teaches at a lot of the Teen CERT, the disaster psychology component. But because this comes in with no skill sets required, we're inviting anybody in the public. We especially pushed it in our Firewise community. Again, maybe we can recruit some of our Firewise people if they get to know those other community members that are CERTs. They go, hey, I want to be part of this. I want to do more. So again, we're doing that. The link is here through Eventbrite. It's from 7 to 8 on that Tuesday, the 31st. Next slide. And again, as Paige mentioned, make an easy email. So this is where I want to say, this is our education email. So it doesn't take a bounce back saying I'm out of the office because many people can answer this email. So you'll always get a response when you get any of these emails that we have like this. And I just want to take the opportunity to thank the whole, in general, the whole fire district, all of the staff, but specifically to my staff. Without these mighty people behind me, we wouldn't have these successes that we're talking about. And I'm really excited to the future endeavors that we're looking to do. There's a lot of really great stuff on the horizon. And again, yeah. So I think that's just about it. I'm just going to follow up with what celebration looks like. We, in January, recognized Mike Salome. We want to continue to do that, recognize more and get more and more involvement in our volunteers. So again, this is where we start looking at what that looks like. So thank you again. And I think, yes, congratulations, Mike. And last slide. Here's some of those emails that you can reach out to, so you don't have to find out, Dee, Denise, whoever, and it's going to be answered by lots of people. So feel free to, tell people those emails if you can't remember what our emails or last name or something like that is. So that's all I have. If there's any questions for the whole group or.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? Very exciting list of stuff. Thank you so much for everybody for putting all this together.
Thank you.
Certainly, it points out how much stuff is going on, and it's just incredible.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much to the entire team. Any public comments? Oh, we have one. So don't go away yet in case we have a question.
No, I just want to thank the team for all their efforts. Tremendous progress over the years we can see here. Just one question. Would like to see some information about the CERT statistics. We've had a lot of turnover. Victoria's left, Amita's left. The program seems to be not doing quite as well as it's done in the past. So maybe at some future meeting, you could do some reporting on CERT. But thank you very much for all your efforts. Really appreciate it.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Moving on here. We got item 11, is that correct? Yes. This is the Operations and Administrative Manager Fairman will be introducing the item about the Pierce Mill Hills Water District water main improvements project.
Thank you, President Spring. Good evening, Commissioners, Fire District staff, and members of the public. I'm Aida Fairman, Operations and Administrative Manager. Tonight, our consultant, Jeff Tarantino from Fair and Loretta, will be presenting the informational item regarding the Purisima Hills Water District Water Main Improvement CIP project, which also includes improvements to the district-owned facilities along West Fremont Road and St. Francis Road. Thank you, and I'll pass it on to Jeff.
Great. Thank you, Aida. Good evening, Commissioners. I just have a couple of slides to share, so bear with me. I feel like every time I log into Zoom, it's a little different. Okay, so this evening I wanted to speak to you about Pierce Mill Hills Water District's ongoing West Fremont and St. Francis Water Main Improvement Project. The Pierce Mill Hills, as they do every year, is implementing a main replacement project. The current scope, as Aida mentioned, includes improvements along West Fremont Street and St. Francis. when Percival Hills was in the design phase last summer, there was a field meeting attended by staff from the fire district, FNL, and County Fire. We walked the project alignment with Percival Hills staff and their design consultant, Pockport Consulting Group, and we identified 4 hydrants that were going to be able to be reused and relocated. And then we also cited 10 new hydrants to be added as part of the improvement. So improving the overall distribution and density of fire hydrants. There's also the table here on the screen shows the location of those hydrants, whether they're a new hydrant or whether we're reusing existing infrastructure. There's also a few bollards being added to one of the hydrants on West Fremont Road, and then on another one of the hydrants on West Fremont Road, a retaining wall, just based on the topography. If commissioners recall, whenever we have some hydrants that are adjacent to some slopes, a retaining wall will be built in order to provide adequate clearance around the entire hydrant for the firefighters' use. So Percival Hills issued a competitive bid and solicited bids, and they received actually 10 bids. So this was a very interesting project for the community. The bidders were generally within about 15 to 20% from low bid to high bid. Percival Hills did a review of all the bidders. They determined that the lowest qualified bidder was the second lowest bidder, and that project was awarded to the contractor. FNL did review the pricing. Everything that we saw was consistent with current market conditions. The total cost of improvements related to the fire district's infrastructure is shown here on the table on the right of $246,600. It is staff's recommendation that we receive approval to proceed with cost sharing of the improvements related to the fire district. And with that, that's the end of my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. It's an impressive amount of new hydrants being added. And tonight we're not having to vote for anything. This is just an informational items. I believe that's the case. Oh, yeah.
That's correct. This is an informational item, and we'll come back with an agreement in the near future. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Any other comments from here?
I'd like to ask a comment. The numbers, even though they are what they are, they look a little on the high side. $19,000 to a novice person like me sounds like a lot of money for a hydrant. Are we going through a bidding process, or are they this is one contractor that does the job?
They did issue the project to bid. They received a total of 10 bids. The range of unit pricing for fire hydrants was $19,000 for the second lowest bidder. There were unit pricing as high as $30,000 per hydrant. So we have seen over the last 2 to 3 years increase in cost, materials, labor costs that are trending to increasing unit costing for hydrants. The unit pricing of the awarded contractor is generally consistent with bids that we're seeing in the region.
Thank you. I think I'm the first to admit that I'm really a novice and sort of uncalibrated in terms of what these costs are. The fact that you mentioned the range, that really helps me out. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Oh, public comment?
I'd like to ask the question about why 10 hydrants are being added. Has there been a change with regards to the policies pertaining to the distances between hydrants? Second comment I'd like to make is, it's interesting you brought up the question about the cost. I should point out that the cost of a hydrant when you're adding it isn't just the cost of the hydrant. It's the cost of the hydrant and the pipe from wherever the main is to where the hydrant is, which could be across the street or some other distance. So there's a lot more involved when you're putting it in at new time. I would like to point out, however, that the quotation for the bollards was $800, whereas the quotation on our emergency response is $5,200 for a bollard. And the cost for a retaining wall on the quotation was $4,000, where ours is $7,500. Now, I appreciate there's a difference between putting them in while you're building something and putting them in, one at a time. But a 10-time difference is quite a substantial difference, which I would like to point out. So I'd be interested in hearing what's changed that requires the addition of 10 more hydrants in an area that's been around since for 60, 70 years. Thank you.
Actually, I'm going to, without putting you on the spot, Mr. Tarantino, is there a general sort of reason in terms of why we found the need for more there?
Yeah, again, during the design phase, a team including FNL, fire district staff, and the fire marshal from the county fire, they walked the site. Generally, the spacing requirements generally are the same. They haven't changed in recent memory, but this area just had fewer hydrants. Some of the geography also warranted hydrants to be placed in order so that they're visual and for firefighters responding to an emergency. So, especially in older areas, we generally find that there are fewer hydrants than you would expect based on today's design standards.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
May I ask another question?
Yes, go ahead. Of course.
Please go ahead. You were going first.
So with the existing hydrants that you have, with the inclement weather that we've been seeing of late, and I know how cold it has been, how do you winterize those things so the pipes don't burst?
So in this area, even though it has gotten colder, we don't see temperatures that result in freezing within the mains. So that is not a concern for the San Francisco Bay Area.
Thanks.
Jim, you had a comment?
Yeah, the other question is more or less extension of what was said in terms of why were this particular location chosen for and the number of hydrants that was added. As a town, do we have enough hydrants in all pockets of the town that are potentially at high risk? Or is there a survey that needs to be done to determine that to begin with?
That's a sort of broad analysis. I'm not sure that's one that Jeff will be able to answer on the spot. It sounds like this is the one area they were looking at because there was a main, and they found that sort of old standards were not what we would want now for modern things. So I just want to narrow your scope of your question if I could.
No, I think your observation is quite valid because I don't really know about the fact that this town is really, high severity fire zone as a whole town. And are there any need at some point for survey for additional?
Right.
Well, to that point, Jim, I know that just prior to me joining the commission had gone through a program of 10 plus years of surveying and rehabilitating most of the fire hydrants throughout the district. So in the 2000s, most of the fire hydrants within the district were replaced, and additional ones were added during that program. Now that was 20 years ago, so it may be time for another one. But the infrastructure was surveyed and modernized within the last 20 years.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Thank you for the presentation. Item 12, we have an update on the N5 shield from General Manager Logan.
Yes, thank you. In your packet, you'll find a memo report on the N5 shields, and I would just like to highlight part of the memo report for you tonight. So back in May, June, July, a number of reports were given to the Board of Commissioners on the N5, which is an wildfire early warning detection sensor technology. It's an emerging technology. And at that time, I think we had a pretty full review of the technology as we knew it. The County Board of Supervisors enthusiastically endorsed the emerging technology for wildfire early warning detection. And in so doing, in the fall of 2025, the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors procured the N5 and started reporting, and then the department started reporting to the Board of Supervisors committees. That went on for a couple of months. The reports included progress on the N5 procurement with county departments, plans for development and implementation, and the development plan was in coordination with Central Fire and Fire Safe Council. In so doing, it's a very complex project. The N5 is a regional initiative. To participate as a regional partner and to benefit from the beta testing and the networking being developed now by the county, the district staff will propose at some point in time that the district install 2 or 3 of the N5 sensors in county public lands outside of the district, but near to the networks of the planned sensors. And those areas would be Rancho San Antonio and the county parks. Once the operational details are known and early issues are resolved, county administration will consider other agency partnerships in the WUI to help support expanded coverage. Just as the N5 is not a single solution, early wildfire detection is not a sole operation, but derives benefits from agencies' partnership and cooperation with each other. For the district, our partnership with agencies includes in the north, City of Palo Alto, Town of Woodside, Stanford University Lands, Portola Valley, and then in the south, Rancho San Antonio and the county parks and Mid-Peninsula Open Space District, along with all of our cooperation with Central Fire and the county network of N5 deployments. So we're looking for efficiencies at this point in time in learning and in benefiting from the reports from the Office of the County Executive to the Housing, Land Use, Environmental, Transportation Committee, known as Hewlett, to detail the progress updates and present along the milestones, accomplishments through the end of 2025. And then you can see the link to the report of those accomplishments. The county's next implementation step will be a detailed data collection that is outlined in the county executive report. The next report back to Hewlett Committee is targeted for spring of 2026. County administration anticipates reporting on lessons learned from the initial stage of sensor deployment. These lessons are about the operational and resource considerations, with further information will further inform conversations with the potential implementation for partners. Los Altos Hills continues to watch, collaborate, and monitor the development of the N5 detection sensors throughout all the phases of development and deployment in the county, and will benefit from the efficiencies of these pilot installations that will be reported to Hewlett in the next few months. Following these months, then the county will deploy the N5 sensors and collect the sensor data. This will greatly benefit LAHCFD in calculating the optimum time to launch the N5 pilot project with the benefits of these lessons learned and the data gathered within the district. The coordination and collaboration provides sound benefits to the district. So our next activities would be to draft a procurement agreement, return to the commission for approval, utilize the data collected for the county deployment in the spring, and benefit from the startup experiences of deploying the technology. So that kind of gives you a roadmap as to where I think we've been, what the county is doing. I focus a lot on the county because they are beta testing this right now and getting it ready for deployment, and then how we would fit into it from a regional partner perspective.
Great.
So,
Appreciate the update.
yeah,
Any
thank you.
comments here?
This is great because we are taking advantage of somebody else's effort to our benefit.
Thank you for that insight. Yes.
Especially since, they have to operationalize that. We've always known that's the real key issue. So it's great to find out what they're learning from it, so we can just help with the expansion in our area. So thank you very much. Any public comments? I think we have one.
Thank you very much for the clarity of the item. As you know, this idea of N5 sensors came up over a year ago. And to summarize, I appreciate what the general manager has said. I think that's the right tactic. I'm not particularly enthusiastic about these N5 sensors, and letting somebody else test them out is a good idea.
Great.
However, I will say that the Alert California system, which is a system of cameras, is operational and providing benefit, but the county and Los Altos Hills County Fire District aren't getting are not receiving all the benefits that are available from that system. And what's missing is a monitoring system. So what needs to be put in place for N5 sensors is a way to get that information and dispatch resources. Alert California already has the method for getting the information, but there's a disconnect in the county about dispatching people with regards to the information. And the proof of that is what occurred on Page Mill Road last July, when the Alert California system detected the fire 5 minutes before the 9/11 call, but no one at the county was there to hear the bell from the Alert California system because they're not watching it. So I really would like to get the district to prod the county to monitor the Alert California system more actively so that we can benefit from that early warning system. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on. Let's see. We are, item 13, establishing the fiscal year 26-27 special tax override rate. District Clerk Vargas, you want to provide this annual report on this item?
Okay, good evening, Commissioners. So this item relates to the district's annual consideration for the special tax override rate. And just as background, following the passage of Proposition 13 back in 1978, the district lost a significant portion of its property tax revenue. So in response, the voters approved a special tax to help fund fire protection services. However, the tax was only needed for a short period of time. And then beginning in fiscal year 86-87, the commission has set the override rate at 0 each year. So the commission retains the authority to adjust this rate annually. But I think given the district's current financial position, there's no need to impose this extra tax. So the recommended action tonight is for the commission to establish the fiscal year 26-27 special tax override rate, once again at 0.
I will now, any questions? Yeah, this is an annual thing.
The right thing to do.
Yeah, there
This
you
much
go.
money sitting in
I will
the
entertain a
kitty.
motion and a second for this.
Kadambi seconds.
Okay, we have Jim as a motion and Kadambi seconds, is what I heard.
I move that we approve the tax override as is stated.
As 0. Great. Thank you very much. Any discussion? Any public comments? Seeing none, let's roll call.
Okay, President Spreen,
Yes.
Commissioner Basiji,
Yes.
Commissioner Kadambi, and Commissioner Warren.
Yes.
All right, and that motion passes 4-0 with 3 absent.
Thank you. Item 14, personnel. General Manager Logan has an item for us.
Item 14A is the proposed Sixth Amendment to the Programs, Planning, and Grants Managers Employment Agreement, which is included in the agenda packet. Government Code Section 45953C3 requires the Commission to orally report a summary of the proposed compensation before taking final action to adopt that compensation, hereby approving the employment agreement. The proposed Sixth Amendment to the At-Will Full-Time Exempt Program Plannings and Grants Managers Employment Agreement will be effective April 1st, 2026, and includes the following compensation. Wages. Sets the annual compensation at $209,185,60, which is equivalent to 157 cents per hour. All other compensation and benefits remain unchanged, and I recommend approval of this item.
Just to confirm, I think you misspoke there. It's $209,185.60. It's $100, 57 cents per hour. I think you missed just to assure that what was misspoken.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Any questions? I would entertain a motion and a second.
Warren moves.
Kadambi seconds.
Thank you very much. Any public comments? Seeing none, let's have a roll call.
Okay, President Spreen,
Yes.
Commissioner Basiji,
Enthusiastic, yes.
okay, Commissioner Kadambi,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren.
Absolutely, yes.
All right, and the motion passes 4-0 with 3 absent.
Thank you. Item 15 is the district clerk report. That will be right back to you.
Yeah, it's me again. Hey, so this is just a quick reminder to the commission and identified staff to file your Form 700 annual statement of economic interests for 2025 by April 1st, 2026. And as of this evening, I am happy to report that we have 18 out of the 20 required filers who have completed their filings. So I will send a reminder email to the remaining filers to ensure that everything is submitted before the deadline.
Thank you so much. Let's see. I'm just going to move on to item 16, the commission member reports. Item 16A is an opportunity for us to provide reports or suggestions for any future agenda topics. Any comments from the commission on any future ones that have not already been mentioned? Sounds like we have it's a very rich night already for topics. Let's see, any public comments on this one? Seeing none. Item 16B. This is the notice that the next regular commission meeting is scheduled for April 21st, 2026, in person and hybrid in these very same town hall council chambers. Any comments from the commission? Everyone expect to be here? Anyone will be gone? Sounds great. Let's see. Any public comment on that date? That's our regular calendar, so I wouldn't expect anything. In that case, let's move on to item 17, adjournment. This concludes the March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, 2026 regular meeting of the Los Altos Hills County Fire District. This meeting is adjourned at 9:31 p.m. District Clerk Vargas, please stop the recording. And thank you, everybody.